If you were watching the show yesterday, you would have seen President-elect Trump introduce Masayoshi Son, who is going to give $100 billion to America to create 100,000 jobs over 4 years. Interestingly, President Trump walked over to him and said, "Why don't you make it 200 billion?" Watching that interview and watching the president's performance was Maye Musk, Elon Musk's mother, and she joins us now.
Yes, that was very exciting.
Isn't that classic Trump? You get 100 billion? No, make it 200
He's
billion.
a businessman and he has a great sense of humour.
Yes.
I really enjoy his company.
Do you sit in on the meetings where they're deciding who gets what and how things work?
No, I don't. I would love to. I think everybody wants to.
But you sit at dinner with them, don't you?
Yes,
The
at
Mar-a-Lago?
dinner, yes, and at a lunch.
What's the atmosphere like?
At the golf club. So happy. Everyone is happy. He's soft-spoken, he's considerate, his children, his grandchildren love him, and I just see love from everybody around him.
Very positive atmosphere?
Very positive, and everybody's saying, if you need this help on this section, I can help you, and they all want to share their expertise with him because they're volunteering. They don't need an income from it. They're just volunteering to help in certain areas where they're an expertise, and I just glow when I hear all that.
Does your son live at Mar-a-Lago?
You would think so, but he has a lot of companies, and we did do Thanksgiving for over 2 days. After Thanksgiving with Trump, we had Thanksgiving with Kimball and Tosca and family and grandchildren, and the next day with more Kimball and Tosca and grandchildren.
They're good friends,
they're
obviously.
Good friends.
How long do you think it's going to last? They're both mercurial personalities.
They both seem very genuine, so I don't see why it won't last. I'm very optimistic. I just think even when all the problems are solved, which could take a while,
right,
I think they'll still be good friends.
You've seen that long list of things that Elon and Ramaswamy want to do together, cutting this, that, and the other. It's a very, very long list. Now, your son gets upset if he's not successful. He doesn't tolerate failure, does he?
Yes, I think that's why he is successful, yes.
What's it like being the mother of the richest person in the world, bar none?
Well, I think he's the genius of the world. Can we change it from money to great ideas? And I'm very proud of him, and I didn't want him to, or nor to expected him to take over the Tesla car business, the EV business, as well as the space and rocket launches, and it's huge stress. And now Neuralink and boring tunnel. No mother wants him to take so many big projects on his own.
Now he's got the biggest one of them all.
Yes, now.
He's rearranging America's government.
Yes, yes. And everybody's volunteering, you know, to help him and Vivek.
When did you first realize that your son was something special?
When he was 3, and I wrote about that in my book.
What did he do?
He just could reason with me at 3 years old. And so I would tell people, I have this genius son, and then they would just roll their eyes because everybody thinks they have genius children.
That's true.
But he was shy, so he would really only be talking to me. There was no one else to talk to. And so I knew that. And then when he read the encyclopedias, he remembered everything. And so I didn't need to read the encyclopedias or ask any question about anything because he remembers what he reads.
Has he got a photographic memory?
Yes.
Everything he reads, he'll remember it. Never a problem.
He can give dates, he can give names, and, you know, he can just bring up the past, and then he doesn't want some things in the past to happen in the present. So let's avoid that.
I think he made 100 million, something like that, out of PayPal. What did you think when you heard 100 million out of PayPal?
I just said, well, I wanted him to slow down, and he didn't listen to me.
Has he ever listened to you?
Not regarding his adventures that he does. He does them first, and then I support him on it all because it's always to do good. It's, you know, it's really just to do good. He doesn't say, I want to make money out of it. He's never said that.
Do you give him advice? Other than slow down, which he doesn't take?
Yes. Well, I don't know. I can't remember. I think all 3 of my kids, Kimball, Tosca, when they're doing something, I might say, well, let's do it this way, or maybe you should do it that way. I might say that, but I don't recall them making great changes because of me. They all do their own thing.
If you had it, well, you do have the opportunity to give advice now. Do it through this program. Speak into the camera. What advice? Elon, do this. Go ahead.
Yeah, Elon, I'm hoping you're getting some sleep in. But
he doesn't sleep much, does he?
No, he never did. As a child, as a baby, he didn't sleep well at all.
Nowadays, he would be diagnosed as hyperactive. You realise that?
Yeah, there's lots of diagnoses they would give him, I'm sure. But yeah, I just think he's doing such good things that I want him to continue.
That's a wonderful thing. Maye Musk, it's great to have you on the show. Don't be a stranger, please. Come back whenever you possibly can.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.